Hi, and welcome to a bonus edition of Ask Tom. Usually these come out on a Wednesday, but today's question I couldn't let wait for the normal queue. So, without further ado, let's find out what Eddie wants to ask Tom and why it's so important.
Hey Tom, this is Eddie Siller from Arizona. Just wondering if you could tell me what the next big thing is for Maher Studios. Just finished with the Dan Horn course, which was great. I was wondering if you could tell me what might be next. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Eddie Siller, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time to go to the learn-ventriloquism.com website and use the SpeakPipe app to ask your question. In fact, folks, if you want to ask me a question, you can head over there too. I appreciate it because your questions will keep this series rolling. And if we don't get questions, it's going to die. So if you have a question, I know everybody wants everything right away. They want it yesterday. They want to know right now. But if you have a question, ask, and I will give my opinion on this. And it will also benefit others down the road. So just keep that in mind. If you come up with a question you'd like to ask, please do. Now back to Eddie. Eddie, that was a great question. After the Van Haven convention, Maher kind of slowed down, and there was a couple reasons for that. First of all, keep in mind that Mark and Ken have no computer skills whatsoever. I mean, literally no computer skills whatsoever. I try to walk them through things, and Mark is slowly picking things up, but Ken, he just wants to hit things with a hammer, and that very seldom works in the world of electronics unless you're dealing with a TV that's out of focus. And even then, that doesn't work anymore. So, after the convention, I was busy with library shows. I was doing library shows all last summer and just loved them to death. So my schedule was full. And Mark, after the convention, likes to wind down. The convention takes a lot out of him. And plus, he was dealing with a health issue. And if you're not familiar with that, folks, nothing to worry about. He's going in for surgery this coming Wednesday. Just keep him in your prayers. And then he'll go back for the final completion of the thing the following Wednesday, I think it is. And then he's got a couple of days or, so recoup, and he'll be back to better than ever. But he had a problem that he was trying to deal with. So he was dealing with that. And then Ken's doing a theater show. So he's doing, I don't know how many shows a week. And he was busy with that. And he has a garage right behind his house where he works on custom classic cars and restores them. And Ken loves that. And so Ken's out in the garage when he's not, working his shows. And I was busy with shows, and if I didn't do it, it doesn't get online. And so the three of us just weren't able to connect things together. Plus, I was waiting for Dan Horn's course to be finalized because Dan still has a lot to do on that course. You might have completed the videos, but there's all kinds of text that Dan hasn't finished yet, and graphics and some little additional videos that he wants to put on. All that takes time, but Dan has been out on the cruise ships, and he hasn't been able to do that. So what is the next big thing for Maher? Well, that's hard to do when you're not connecting with everybody. Mark and I would talk almost every day, but we talk about the convention, which he's busy complaining about. No, busy planning. I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip. He doesn't complain about it. He loves that thing. But he's busy putting that together. And so really with my shows and everything else that I've got going on, what I decided to do was start working on some of my own projects online. I created the Savvy Event Planner podcast, which is now out, and having a blast with that, building an audience there. So Maher kind of did take a back seat for a little while. But that doesn't mean it's not important to us, and it doesn't mean that we're still not interested in it, and it certainly doesn't mean that we're not working on it. Just, things kind of took a precedence. So here's what's going on. First things first, big courses are very hard to do. I've wanted to do Dan's course ever since I created the Learn Ventriloquism course, but it wasn't until Maher came into the picture and I was a part of that we were able to convince Dan to put this thing together. And now I think he's really glad he did. But that's been a couple of years in the making. And a course like Mike Palma's figure building course, that took a long time to put together. Dan Horn's course, still being put together. That's a couple of years in planning, and it's over a year now, almost a year and a half in executing it to get it online. And it's not done yet. It might take another 6 months, maybe another year. I don't know. It depends on Dan. So the question is, who do we team up with next? Who do we work with to create the best in the business? And that's what we want. Maher should be the gold standard. And it's really, really hard to do. So I'm not sure that any big courses are coming down the pike. I'm just not sure that they are. Although if anyone has suggestions, please, by all means, talk to us. We have a couple ideas, but we really haven't moved forward on them because of our schedules. So what would be the next thing then for Maher? Well, one of our most popular thing has always been scripts. Back when Clinton owned the business, he used to have the script books, and they were a big seller. But the problem there was the script books, even though they were sold, they cost money to produce, they cost money to store. We can do that electronically, but when you look back at those scripts, not all of them were that good. And people used to buy those just hoping to get one line, maybe two. So you'd spend $5 on getting a line. And we wanted to put more scripts out. So we are going to be concentrating on that, and we will have more scripts. They will not all be the Dialogues Plus. I'm going to warn you that right now. The Dialogues Plus idea I thought was killer when we came up with it, but they're just hard to put together that way. It's hard to video those and then edit those and then do the audios and everything else. So we're thinking about putting out electronic script books, and that is something, but we're going to be writing them ourselves, and that takes time. You don't just come up with these things right off the top of your head, although it sometimes seems like we do. Now, the reason that I made your question a bonus episode is because of Monday. Monday, something big is going to happen at Maher Studios, and it's based off of the fact that I started doing the Savvy Event Planner podcast. When I started doing that, I realized how easy it is to put together a podcast. Now, that's not to knock anybody that does it and says it's hard. It can be hard to come up with content, and it can be hard to schedule interviews and different things like that, but I don't want to do interviews. Matt Bailey, I used to do interviews on the Learn Ventriloquism blog. We've got a depth of things there that were just, incredible information. We do interviews on video for the IVS. In fact, if you just listen to Matt's 100th episode with Jimmy Nelson, it was a great episode, Matt. Congratulations on getting that interview. Mark and I sat down with Jimmy for over an hour, and we went into a lot of depth on some things that were not gone into on Matt's episode. So if you like that, check out the IVS, the International Ventriloquist Society's issue with the Jimmy Nelson interview. It's an incredible interview you don't want to miss. And if you're not a member of the IVS, consider joining. But let's get back to the podcast that we want to produce. Mark, Ken, and I are always trying to put out solid information that helps you as a ventriloquist. And so we decided to create Maher Ventriloquist Radio. And it's coming out Monday, and I'm very excited about it. It's a short radio show. It consists of Mark, Ken, and I talking about different subjects that will benefit you as an entertainer, you as a ventriloquist, and you're going to get a lot of laughs and have a lot of fun. It's going to be like sitting down with the three of us and just having a good time. And believe me, we are already recorded up through like episode 20, I think, maybe further than that, 20-something. But we're just having a blast doing these things. And what we do is we set aside a couple of hours on the phone, and we go over them, and then afterwards, I get to edit them, but we're not cutting on these things. You're going to get the unadulterated, information. I think we only had to make one edit in all the times that we've put these together, and you have to wait to see why. So, Monday, everybody, check out Maher Ventriloquist Radio. It's not going to be on iTunes yet. It's only going to be on maherstudios.com blog. But if you're not signed up for the blog yet, go over there and sign up, and you'll eventually be able to get it on iTunes. We want to get a couple of episodes online before we do that, because once people start subscribing at iTunes, they like to listen to a couple episodes in a row. We know that. We've been advised that. So, Maher Ventriloquist Radio, it's something new in the way of a ventriloquism podcast. It's coming your way on Monday. Don't miss it. It's free. It's fun. And Mark, Ken, and I are just so excited about this. Folks, again, if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, please go over to the learn-ventriloquism.com website. click on any of the Ask Tom episodes. There's a link there to the SpeakPipe app where you can leave your vocal question, and I'll answer it. Oh, and real quick before I get out of here, NJ, your message got horribly garbled, and I apologize for that. I don't know what went wrong. I think you can listen to them before you save them, so please go on over, leave me a question, and I'll look forward to answering that on another episode of Ask Tom. Thanks so much for being here. I'll talk to you Monday.